Council plenary meeting to order. We've already said the pledge.
We have to do the pledge for public meetings. It's part of the recording.
I like America. Let's do it again.
Yeah, before we begin, I believe the meeting requires for an open public meeting to have the doors open and accessible.
Well, as long as they're not locked and people can get in.
After we say the pledge, if you would all remain standing, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Joe Renz, who recently passed as our police commission president. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll one more time, please?
Ellen,
Here.
Mary. Here. Steve.
Here.
Bob.
Here. Let's open the floor for citizen input. This would be your opportunity to speak on any topics that you may wish to speak on. No citizen input? Oh. Hello, sir. Go ahead and state your name and address for the record.
Jason Rotek, 13801 77th Avenue, Dyer, Indiana. The reason why I'm here is back in October, the Water and Sanitary Board approved a sewer and water tap for Unity Church. They own the 20 acres next to me, south of 77th Avenue. They're asking for a special exception to build a church on that property. At the Lake County Plan Commission meeting, there were roughly at least a dozen neighbors and probably another half a dozen people that wrote in all against the church based on not so much the church, but the flooding and the traffic issues and so on. I'm asking the town council to see if there's anything they can do as far as, I think if the public had the opportunity to have input at that board meeting, the decision might have been different. So I don't know if that's possible to have them maybe take a second look and have public input as far as the sanitary and water tap is concerned.
Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda. I'll be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda to consist of meeting minutes from the executive and plenary meetings of December 9th and the special meeting of January 6th and claims totaling $171,907.59.
I missed one.
Mr. President, I think December 7th.
December 7th.
I'll make that motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk take the roll?
Ellen,
Aye.
Mary. Aye. Steve.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Announcements this Saturday, January 15th at 9 a.m. We'll be having a joint board and commission meeting to include representatives from all our boards and commissions, the department heads and the council. I think our goal is to do this once or twice a year to make sure that everybody in the town is all on the same page. Next, we have a special presentation for the fire department. Councilwoman Tanis.
Tonight, we will be welcoming another member to the rank of firefighter for the Dyer Fire Department, Mitchell Panizak, badge number 198, has successfully completed his one-year probationary period and did so showing true professionalism and with an incredible work ethic. His dedication to service and duty comes from his time in the military, where he is still active. He's still active duty. Last week on January 8th, Mitchell just completed his 5th year in the United States Marine Corps, where he is currently serving in the rank of corporal as an electrical engineer and combat marksmanship coach for the platoon. His leadership abilities showed during this time in the Lake County Fire Academy, where he served as a company leader, always lifting up to his classmates and setting the proper example. He graduated from his academy on July the 2nd, 2021. Mitchell graduated from the EMT Academy on November the 28th, 2021, and is currently preparing for his physical exam on January 15th and his national registry to follow. We look forward to many years of service and thank him for his dedication to his craft, our department, and his community.
Martin. I can ask Mitch and Mother if they step forward. Mom. So Mitch actually started the fire academy February 11th, 2021. I was still the captain of the fire department at the time and was still the instructor for the academy. And I was very, very impressed with him in the first few weeks. And that's why we designated him company leader to be in charge of other recruits in his group. Again, that goes back to speaks volumes to his time in the Marine Corps. I knew Dyer was very lucky and fortunate to have him here. But June 14th, I got to start here. And I'm very fortunate to serve as his fire chief. His captain's right here, his lieutenant's here, and his assistant chief is here. And I have a feeling if Mitch keeps up in about 10 to 15 years, we're going to be putting probably a colored helmet in his hand with some people. So Mitch, congratulations. Here's your shield.
Now to reports. Town Council, Ward 3, Alan.
I just want to say a few words about Joe Renz. He was really, he was a long-term member of the police commission. I've known him for years as a neighbor and a friend. He's one of these guys, he was always helping his neighbors, always looking out for the seniors on his block. He was just really a great guy. We're going to miss him. And if you drive around town and you see those little signs that say, "We support the police," that was Joe's idea. He was the guy that instituted that and got it going. So we're really going to miss him.
Councilwoman Tanis.
I would agree with everything that you just said. In addition to that, NERC Technical Planning Committee had a meeting last Thursday where we forwarded an MOU to the full commission next Thursday, and it involves Dyer because the MOU gives, it encourages it undersigns the design for a path, the bike path going into Illinois. And the MOU is with NERC and with the villages of Sauk Village and Linwood and Cook County. And it's looking ahead and looking at a bike path going into Illinois. So that will probably be approved on Thursday at our full commission meeting. I also brought up the idea that Calumet Avenue south of Route 30 needs to be expanded into 4 lanes. We talked about that before. I've also encouraged them to take a look at 77th and widening 77th. And the third thing is, again, every meeting I try to remind them that we'd sure like to see funding for a pedway or a bike path over Route 30 somewhere near Kaler to get the kids across there safely. So we did bring that up at the DERC meeting. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Kramer?
Thank you. I was proud for the Penalties family. I had the privilege of our kids and their kids going to school together, growing up, being a room parent with his mom. And it was just a special feeling to see her pinning her son, and a proud moment for Dyer to have a great individual. Really happy to see our fire department growing in such a fabulous way. Thank you, Chief. Thank you to the police department. Again, tell officers I appreciate when they stop by and say hi, and not only to me, but to all the residents. That really makes you feel good. Jeff, I had a couple of my closest friends call me about emergency of a water main break flooding out the street, and it was cold, cold, cold. They weren't so worried. Well, I ended up driving over. They weren't worried too much about the water. They were worried about the workers out there. They said the DPW jumped out without hesitation, put on all their clothes. I think that night it was 5 degrees out. The ice was forming on the street already. They were jumping in that mud and water. Most we could do is offer them coffee. They said, thank you. We just want to get it done though. So pass that on to not only myself, but all the neighbors and residents said, thank you for doing a great job out there in that weather. Looking forward I was at the park board meeting too, to a lot of improvements, big improvements coming on. Hopefully, we've been working hard for a long time on getting some sort of bike trail through Dyer. Really anxious to see what we can get done and accomplish finally. So, and last thing is thank you for everyone in the audience for coming. A lot of times we'll have a meeting and we're lucky to have one person. So thank you for taking the time out to just come and listen and show that you're interested in what's going on too. So thank you. Oh, and one last, I pay my respects to our town trustee. Thank you for coming.
The passing of Joe Renz has been weighing heavily on me for the last few days. I echo that everything that Councilman Brooks had said. And I think the best way to honor such a good guy like Joe is to just in our daily lives be the better neighbors that he always was. Next up, Clerk Treasurer.
Yes, Joe will be greatly missed in the town of Dyer. There wasn't a resident, senior, or anybody that would come by him and if they had trouble with his car, he'd help fix it, just charge him for park. The ladies in the subdivision, Joe would have an apron. He would help, with the baklava and everything. You can't let it get hard when you're baking and stuff. He has other neighbors he cooked with all the time. He never said no to nothing, not even to the police officers or the firemen. Whoever needed him in town, he was there for him. He was always getting the job done, so it'd be a great medicine for the community. I have some donations. Our first donation is to the clerk's office for $300 from the Dyer Presbyterian Church. The next donation is to the fire department for $3,795 for the Dyer Community Foundation and $100 for Nancy King. Our next set of donations is $25 to the P9 unit from Wayne and Catherine Swart. And the next one is $3,795 from the Dyer Community Foundation. And our last one, which will be anonymous, is from a resident that gave $25,000 to the police discretion. Police chief's discretion.
I'd be looking for a motion to accept the donations as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alan,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Town manager's report.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to defer my initial time here to Tom Brown, who would like to give a quick update on our non-health insurance renewal that's approaching.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Just real briefly, I appreciate having a few moments tonight, and I really appreciate the consideration that we're going to schedule another meeting to go through some of these items in the depth that it deserves, where we can make a great, better understanding, make appropriate adjustments. But I'm going to run through a bunch of topics. Property casualty program, expiring premium was 187,000 change. Renewed at 194,000. As we took over this account, we looked at the asset schedules. We've added 10 owned vehicles that.
Tom,
which
sorry to interrupt you. Could you step up to the
Sure.
lectern? So
we've added 10 vehicles to the town schedule, 6 of which were previously owned that were unidentified, 4 that were recently purchased. We removed 7 vehicles on the schedule that are no longer owned. Made corrections there. We identified that the town's equipment schedule, primarily public works equipment, but we have a limit on our policy. It's capped at 10,000 for any unscheduled items, and they're all unscheduled because there has never been a schedule provided. So that's something that we're taking care of urgently. And the next step on that property side is we're going to do updates on all the building valuations by doing replacement cost estimators, et cetera. Cyber liability, the town had a very deficient policy. It was exclusively third party, like $1,600. And when I look back through the files in 2015, we had a quote for $7,600, $7,200 that included both first and third parties. Became a huge issue today. The prior insurer, like many others, has completely exited the market. We have terms for 13.9. That is outstanding. Probably the typical small municipal coverage today is about 20. We could still adjust that. You know, in my mind, I'd raise the retention and keep the limit and reduce the cost. Accident, sickness, and disability, we were not able to identify a policy for the firemen. Typically, you'll get a $150,000 death benefit plus disability income through age 65 if they're injured in the course of duty. There's also some medical coverage through there. Turns out that the town did have a policy. It was a 3-year term that expires on January 11th of 2023. The information, the specifics to it will not be released until the 19th of this month, so I'll have that. The town has a length of service awards program for the fire department. This is a pension program. We don't control that, but in review, it had an assumption of 4.75% rate of return. And so today, we have 291,000 of plan assets with benefits accrued at 370,000. So it's underfunded, and that margin is continuing to increase. So that's definitely a discussion point. Workers' compensation, we have a couple things going on. There was a recent audit that we've changed payroll systems and it lumped everybody by department. And in the past, information was just pushed to the auditor and he never came on site. So because of that lumping, we needed to get on site. We went through employee by employee, and we did have misclassified employees. So by correcting this, it's going to drive a little cost. But the bigger issue was the experience mod, which is weighing our claim experience to the average, went from a 0.88 to a 1.17, which is a 29% increase. So on the front end, we're looking at a $74,000 expiring policy renewing at 96. The policy that they issue, they're going to retract it and do a reissue. And I'll be sitting with the Clerk Treasurer to help her code in the employees to the proper department. But relative to work comp, part of my process, and we'll be discussing this with the safety committee, is, you know, you take a look at all the losses and you identify trends. And one of the things that jumped out, just using this as a particular example, since 2014, there's been $420,000 paid out in workers' compensation claims. Out of that, 72% is slips, trips, and falls. 300,000 paid out. Those are areas that we could address now that we've identified. And I have a lot more to share when we have this separate meeting and go through. But for today, that is the conclusion of my summary.
thank you very much.
I have a question. On the fire department, was that an unfunded liability?
So we have a
talking
pension
about?
program that
Right.
is underfunded. We've been
That's what I'm
paying the
saying.
minimum amount based on some actuarial assumptions that haven't been achieved since
Okay.
the program's inception. So
Got it.
the important thing is to bring it to attention and make some decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Frank?
You have my update on the 213th and Sheffield litigation. There's also the pending fine collection case against Rosati's Pizza. I would encourage the council to slate that for the next study session, or as soon as we know what the actual costs associated with that are, because I'd like to move on that one way or another. We have a couple closings we're getting set up. Other than that, things are relatively flat.
Good.
Boards and commissions, utility board.
Thank you. On the water side, obviously we have our major projects underway, been underway for a while. On the Highland supply line, that should be hopefully wrapping up sometime in mid-February or so. Munster will probably be, the Munster supply line will probably be mid-March or so. We're waiting on a meter vault for that one and some other connections. The distribution line from our booster station to 213 station is essentially technically operational right now. The pump station pipe works modifications, again, are probably looking at the end of February into March perhaps for completion. And that's also the same for our emergency interconnect on 77th Avenue. So in summary on those, our 5 core projects should see a completion certainly by, or hopefully by April 1st. So everything is kind of a lot of progress there, and hopefully we'll wrap everything up in April of this year. On sanitary, essentially our treatment plant upgrade design is still underway and completing. We're still moving forward with our I&I removal program. Not as much field work right now, but we'll have some here coming soon. And also picking our line repair and replacement candidates for our projects for the line repairs and replacements here in 2022. So those are kind of the major items, and no questions. That's my report.
Frank, is there an update on the fence around the Sandy Ridge Water Tower?
Yeah, that's underway. They're basically, I believe everything's been ordered on that.
Okay.
And they're, those have been awarded.
Okay.
And it's ordered and waiting for that installation, weather permitting for pillars. They have to go in first.
Right.
And of course, once that's able to be done, they can demolish the fence. Then when they can set the pillars up, and then that'll proceed. So we'll wait from basically on weather at this point.
Thank you.
Good news on that latest is that they do not have to wait till spring. So when he says waiting for weather, that's just a break in the actual ground clearing.
Okay.
So they will be able to do the pillars in the cold weather.
We have some other board and commission members in the audience. Are there any reports from the Park Board, Planning Commission, or Police Commission?
The park board, we had a great meeting on Tuesday. We're moving quickly ahead on that water park. And we're all looking forward to the joint study session on Saturday.
Planning Commission, no report. Looking forward to that joint study session.
Police Commission. Thank you. We'll move to department heads. Park Director.
Yeah, so Park Board meeting last Tuesday, this past Tuesday. Central Park North End, Gary Up Constructions, they've paused for the past couple of weeks on their work. The parking lot is first phase of asphalt was put down. They'll be back once the weather breaks to start doing stuff around the concession stand restroom facility. They have graded out that area, dug it out for the impending pavers and then the concrete work. Barton Electric has been on site, not this week, but they were on site the previous 2 weeks working on the ball field bases and drilling of the holes and stuff. So they've been making good progress. So we have 6 fully done so far with Barton Electric, the ball field lights being up. Autumn Chase project that's been on hold right now for the weather, but will be done as soon as the spring comes around to put the asphalt down on the walking path. We have the ice rink over at Northgate Park in the tennis court. We opened up last week. We had 7 consecutive days so far. We've closed it of skating. We've closed in the last 2 days of being softer with the warmer temperatures. So about a handful of kids are out there on Saturday, a few that I saw on Sunday. So it's this year's a lot better than we did last year. We did a little differently, even with the amount of water in there. So it's a lot nicer ice compared to how we did last year. Otherwise, in the park board, working on the Elmer Miller splash pad. Still still in the designing phase of it, but we're nearing the ending of the designing phase of it, so they'll be wrapping up. And then the other project that we're working on is the Cherry Hill, Pheasant Hills project. That's with the new playground with Cherry Hill and walking paths and connections to the sidewalks, and then the path that will go around the Pheasant Hills pond. So that one actually is closer to be completed on the design phase than the Elmer Miller one right now. But still, our plan was to do the Elmer Miller one first, the splashback project, and then go to the Cherry Hill Pheasant project.
Public Works.
That's all.
The Opticom lights on Hart Street and 213th are fully active now. So the only thing we're still waiting for is signage to be putting on the actual poles and let the public know that they are emergency lights and where to stop when the red lights do activate. So those should be installed shortly. 2 new pickup trucks and 3 HD trucks have been delivered to the respective areas. They were ordered last spring. So again, they're now being configured with snowplow equipment, and we should expect those trucks to be delivered probably about mid-March. A couple weeks from now, Emmy Simpson will be providing us our data from 2021 for all of our hydrant, valves, and meters. So we can start going over the technical data and just see what happening on the water system. So then that will allow us to even help with our hydrant replacement program and stuff like that. And then also we're at Public Works, we're preparing our pavement marking and crack sealing packages for 2022. So we should have that probably done early spring, so that we can get going on for this year. And that's it.
Thank you. Chief Alcott.
I'd like to say a little bit about Joe also. Joe, for those of you who don't know, was a Dalton police officer before he moved to Dyer. He's also a reserve officer in St. John and in Manhattan, Illinois. He served the most part of his young life as a police officer before coming here, and then he wanted to serve on the board. He will be greatly missed at our level. Everything he did was selfless, and all he thought about was the police department in this community. I was proud to call him a friend and a colleague. With that said, I'll move forward. We are in the middle of emergency hire process to replace Sergeant Morgan's position as a patrol officer. In the month of December, we had 684 incidences, 52 arrests, 34 accidents, 203 citations, and 221 warnings. Looking forward to the session on Saturday also.
Chief Martin.
Yes, in the month of December, we had 222 total calls. We also had 425 hours of training. On December 16th, we encountered a structure fire that is not common to our area. We had a 10,000 square foot building almost fully involved upon arrival about 2 p.m. So I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our departments in Dyer and the departments on our mutual aid box alarm system that helped us that night. Dyer Police Department, our police chief, our assistant police chief, and anybody that was in a Dyer uniform that day was out there helping us with crowd control and making sure we had everything we needed. On the public works end, Jeff and his staff immediately got on their iPads, which I thought was really neat. And they were able to boost up the water pressure so well that we were able to throw 350,000 gallons of water at it. And the people across the street wouldn't even seen a difference in their shower heads. So that was pretty impressive. The interagency cooperation was great in town. I'd also like to thank the St. John Fire Department, Cedar Lake Fire Department, Lake Hills Fire Department, Sauk Village, Linwood, Crete Township Fire Protection District, the Crete Fire Department, the Maryville Fire Department, Crown Point Fire Rescue, Superior Ambulance, the Indiana Department of Homeland Security with the State Fire Marshal's Office, Lake County 911, and the guys would want me to say, most importantly, Rob from Rob's Meat Market for feeding them all. When you have that many people working for that many hours, they get hungry. So Rob did not hesitate and brought out a smorgasbord worth of food. So again, fires like that are the reason that we're doing such a big community risk reduction approach. And that also leads me to my next thing. In the last week in 2 different cities, they had 32 fatals in 2 different fires. 17 of those were children. They don't have to be 19-story buildings or row homes in Philadelphia. My previous department, I ran into quite a few fires where we had to make rescues, and we had fatal fires in abundance over the last few years. So it's an important reminder to remind everybody that's watching tonight about smoke detectors, sleeping with your bedroom doors closed, practicing escape drills in the home with your family, whether they be older all the way down to the smallest kids. Every ounce of preparation and prevention is important in the long run when you're encountering an event like this. So I would also like to thank you for the opportunity for us to honor Mitch tonight and his accomplishments.
Thank you. Road projects, Neil?
Good evening. For the 2021-1 reconstruction resurfacing projects of Carnation, Edgewood, and Schilling, those projects are anticipated to begin March, April of this year, as soon as the weather breaks. The 2021-2 CCMG that we were awarded, those are Seminary, Summerhill, Hawthorne Lane, North and South, Wind Hill, Autumn Lane, Harvest, Crestview, Greenwood, 211th, 212th, and Jackson, which do include some water main work that we'll have to bid as a separate issue to that because CCMG does not cover that, and Capri Lane as well. And we were awarded 50% on both of those projects. The 2022-1, we've started that application, and that's for the full reconstruction of Magnolia, 214th, and Madison south of 213th. PD has provided all the data required to us in terms of accidents and things associated with that INDOT requires. And we anticipate applying for the entirety of the full $1 million on that, which is at the end of the month. Any questions? Thanks so much. This is easy.
Thank you,
And
Neil.
I do want to say Joe was a good friend of mine. We were both car guys. He obviously had better and nicer cars than I do, but he'll be sorely missed.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We have no old business. Moving on to ordinances and resolutions. We discussed this at our previous meeting. I'll be looking for a motion to pass ordinance 2022-2, an amendment to the fee schedule of the town code on first reading.
I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2022-02, amendment to town code fee schedule.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
On first reading.
Yes, I passed on a request for including fees for fines for, because I did not see it in the schedule on this ordinance on the second page under Article 8, 2-221 subsection B under 6-13, it lists penalties for an air rifle, pistol, and slingshot. I did not notice any penalties for discharge of any other weapons, guns, long rifle, bows, whether they be long, compound, crossbows, and I believe they're all illegal to discharge in the town limits of Dyer. Is that in here somewhere?
Well, that refers to the ordinance. So I believe that ordinance, let me pull it up, includes all those items you just mentioned. So whatever the ordinance prohibits is what that penalty will apply towards. It says short title, which means that's just an abbreviation for convenience. It doesn't restrict the applicability in any way.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ellen,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2022-2 on second reading?
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll.
Ellen,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Next, I'll be seeking a motion to approve resolution 2022-3, the contract with St. John Township for fire services, as we discussed in the study session.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2020-3 A resolution approving a contract for fire protection services for the unincorporated area of St. John Township for the year 2022.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I believe it should be 2022-3. Just to correct it.
Oh, yeah, it's.
Well, I mean, it's mistyped on
Right.
the resolution.
Okay.
Would that require amended motion?
Yeah, since you did reference, you should have the motion.
I'll second.
Roll.
Alan,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Just want to say thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you again in 2022.
Thank you, Ken.
Next, I'll be looking for a motion to approve resolution 2022-04, a transfer of funds.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-04, transfer of funds pursuant to IC 6-1.1-18-6.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Roll.
Alan,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. On to new business. We have boards and commissions appointments. Some of these were put off from the end of last year. So I have two spots here. I'd be accepting a motion to reappoint Scott Jefferson, Alan Brooks, Mary Tanis, Steve Kramer to the Planning Commission. Included in that, reappointing Steve Kramer, Mary Tanis, Alan Brooks, Alicia Myers, myself, Robert Starkey, to the Redevelopment Commission. I'll be accepting a motion. to
So
approve
moved.
those.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? The only thing I would like to say is we had interviews today for Park Board and for the Historic Preservation Commission. We had some questions on the amount of members for the Historic Preservation Commission. We can talk about that over the coming month and put that both those positions on the next meeting. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Alan,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Moving down to new business. Item number 2, property acquisition of 2165 Hart Street. I'll be entertaining a motion to make an offer for 2165 Hart Street, Dyer, Indiana, for the amount of $223,500.
I'll make a motion to offer to purchase the property at 2165 Hart Street.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I do have a written resolution that just mirrors all the others in this regard. I prepared it for tonight, so it is approved.
Do you want me to read the amount?
No, it's
Okay.
already stated.
Okay.
It's the
All right.
same as what you said.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Alan,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Adam, do we need to approve that resolution by title or?
No, it says what you voted on.
Moving to any and all, any council members with any and all first?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to have for the town council to request the joint utility board to reconsider their position on the out-of-town hookup along 77th Avenue, and also to allow for public input.
I'll second that.
Just to clarify, you can't force the utility board to do that. This would just be a suggestion. The utility board will act as it sees fit. But
Yes.
you're making clear your position as council.
That's correct. Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, at the utility board meeting, wasn't there a public hearing?
No, it wasn't.
No, it's not a public hearing.
And a public hearing is not required for this issue. It's just a vote on an action request.
And I remember the hearing there, which was on, was there a benefit to the town of Dyer? And the answer after they rescheduled another meeting and had a second meeting on it with no one in the audience that I remember saying no to it. But the reason why, you can correct me or add to it, was because there was an existing line and we needed rights to it.
There was an interceptor that runs to the property, and we were looking for an acquisition of an easement in exchange for providing services. That was.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And the motion is simply just a recommendation to the board?
Yeah, as the council, we would basically are requesting the utility board to revisit and reconsider their ruling on this matter. And also give the public a chance to have some input. There's a lot of members of the public that weren't aware that this was going to happen. Now they would like to come to the next utility board meeting and remonstrate.
And okay, we had 2 utility board meetings on it and you're saying nobody knew about it?
That's members of the public were telling me they were not aware of it.
And well,
all these meetings were properly noticed.
Pardon me?
All these meetings were properly noticed.
So they were all noticed and posted. And how many meetings did you have on this at the utility board?
Well, there's at least the 2. It might have been a third one. I think it was introduced, but certainly at least 2 meetings.
Yeah, you know, and this isn't a town of Dyer issue. This is a county issue.
Well, it affects the town of Dyer, though.
The town of Dyer needed this for a benefit for the town of Dyer, and that's why they approved it. I've seen a lot of things going out there. I don't believe everything on Facebook. I hope nobody else does. It's just online chatter going on out there. But I did see a lot of things that weren't true on it. And I feel sorry for those who are spreading false rumors on it and having other people believe it. They do have a county meeting, I believe is January 19th, is it, Alan?
That's correct.
Because you were at the first one and not at the police commission meeting.
Right.
So it is a county, the town of Dyer. I don't know, the people, I know the gentleman who lives right next door to it, we may have some concerns. They had presented and talked to at the utility board meeting, which I wish more people would have been there. They explained that they're not going to destroy any trees and wildlife, and they have gone beyond the stormwater control and are trying to control it. I know other people have been on their property and did not get it. The church did. For disclosure, like my attorney friend over there, I'm not a big church person or religious, but I do believe in that religious freedom. We have many other churches in our community, much larger. For the services and the traffic that they have, they got way of controlling. Our police department doing a great job. The county will do a great job.
Well, this has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with it being a church. What it has to do with is that the property is zoned residential, and it looks to me as the purchasers did not do their due diligence, because now they're trying to change everything, and that area does significantly flood. And I don't know how you would put turn lanes in there.
I hate to interrupt you, Councilman Brooks. I'm going to call the question. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Alan?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Steve?
No.
Bob?
Aye. Any more items under any and all?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mary Tanis as liaison to Lake Central Schools.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Didn't we just appoint Councilwoman Alicia Myers to that last meeting?
Yes, we did.
And Are we going to get in the practice of just, if you don't like it, just turn around and change it again and again?
I mean, that's what you did last week. I asked you to wait till Councilmember Tanis was here. You did not want to wait 7 days.
No, you can do what you want. I just think it was very unprofessional. So I don't want to get into that tit for tat because when Councilwoman Myers comes back, I don't know if the expectation is just to have that re-vote, same vote again and do it over again. It just seems counterintuitive. Councilwoman Myers did not have any liaisons. She is a school teacher, an active school teacher now. She fits right in. She wanted it. She expressed her concerns and get more involved. I just don't want to hold the young lady back. She's smart, she's intelligent, and she would be a great asset to this. So that's probably why I'll vote no. It just seems to back and forth tit for tat.
I understand that. Councilmember Tanis taught for 40 years. That's longer than I think Councilmember Myers has been on this earth. She's the longest serving council member, and she just deserves the board's respect.
And I've been lobbying for the teachers and the students, more importantly, for all the years I've been teaching, and up until now, I've served as a liaison. I have a really good relationship with the superintendent and the teachers, and I think I've done a very good job of representing them because I do represent them not only here, but they also know that I represent them downstate at the State House and also for the legislature.
And no one's saying they haven't done that. The consideration was having someone new, someone who's active in the school system right now, and someone who hasn't had the opportunity to be a liaison, where you have multiple liaison positions. It just seems like you're trying to take them all for yourself and let others not be involved, which is wrong. We're a council, we're supposed to share the responsibility. So that's all I'm gonna say. If you want to go and try to do it, then it's fine.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Alan,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
No.
Bob,
No.
We have a tie, so under statute, Clerk Treasurer breaks the tie.
as I thought at the last meeting, they should wait for a full council to do this. If it was an emergency that affected an emergency situation, I would partake, but not at this time.
Well, without a tiebreaker, the motion fails to carry.
Any more for any and all?
I failed in my little discussion earlier to pay my respect to Joe Rentz. He wasn't a close friend, but he was a friend. I worked with him often and had a lot of discussions with him. So he will be missed, and our condolences and thoughts go out to friends and family.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to dismiss.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second. We'll continue on with the redevelopment meeting.
All those in favor, voice vote.
Aye.
Aye. We will continue with the Dyer redevelopment meeting for January 13th, 2022. I'm calling it to order. We've done the pledge. We've done the roll call. Any citizen input? Seeing none. We have a consent agenda for the minutes of the December 7th, 2021 redevelopment commission meeting. Claims totaling $2,376,574.31. So I have a motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion?
See business, I'll take the roll if Sue's gone.
Okay.
Yeah. We asked that the conversation, having a hard time getting the other. Thank you.
Steve?
What was that motion again?
Yeah, consent.
Oh, consent agenda? Yes.
Alan?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye. It's not on the agenda, but we need to have the election of officers.
I would like to nominate Councilmember Tanis as president and myself as vice president.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Hearing none. Roll call.
Steve?
No.
Alan,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. We have no new business. We have any at all? We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor, voice vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.